Hey! Welcome to the Nostalgia Train Book Club live discussion for Mockingjay, the final book of the Hunger Games Trilogy. Oh yes, I also have it, but my copy is not quite as pretty. I am the host, Violet, of the channel Writing Violet. I don't know who's even watching this who doesn't know who I am. Do my co-hosts want to introduce themselves?
Might as well.
Might as well.
I post videos. Watch them.
Same, basically.
I do not even have you guys' stuff linked in the description.
Wow. It's fine.
I was going to say it's linked in the description, but I do not have you linked in the description.
You have other videos and streams with all of us on your channel, though. So if someone wants to, they can find it.
That's legit. I do have videos with you guys linked in the description, and I don't know who's watching this who isn't already aware of all of us. So, Danny of the channel Somber Honey, Marta of the channel Marta, author of the channel Author and Sophie. We all do writing videos, among other things. And today we're talking about Mockingjay. I have planned no discussion topics. And I read the book a while ago, so hold on, I'll put up my one banner that I have. Welcome to the book club. So I thought we could just maybe start off with, usually I have us talk about like our experience with the book series before having read it, what we thought then versus now. Should we start with that? Is that cool with everybody?
Yeah.
So like I said, I read the first Hunger Games book in 2012, and I think I read the next two quite recently after, but I got them from the library, and Mockingjay was the only one I didn't finish before my whatever library subscription ran out. I had to return it and check it out again. So maybe, in my mind, the movie was split into two parts, but my reading experience was also split because I had to return it and then wait a while to get it back again. And I just remember I really disliked it the first time around, and my thoughts have changed a little bit, but not much this time around. So,
though you've had time to rest, so you still feel strongly about not liking it.
Yes. In having read now Mockingjay, I feel more better about Catching Fire. I take back a lot of the negative things I said about Catching Fire last time. I was too hard on it.
I definitely read the first two, I think when they came out, because I was the perfect age demographic for that. I was middle school into early high school, and I guess I read the third one, but I have no memory of reading that one when it came out. But I was definitely big into the movies, because each movie, they came out the 4 years that I was in high school, and so I was really into them. And then I binge read this entire trilogy in the past 10 days to be ready for this live show, and boy, do I have feelings.
I definitely think reading books back to back to back changes the reading experience.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Oh, it's my turn. I'm sorry. Yeah, I also read them when they came out, and the first one I stole from my friend. I still have her copy and not my own. And then book 2 and 3 I actually bought myself, and then I read them really close. But now, rereading it, it seems like I read the first 50 pages, and then the last 50 pages, and nothing in between. Don't know where that went, but I think I've read it, I just don't remember.
Yeah, I think I was also a little bit tainted by some of the movie memories. I didn't go back and watch the film this time around like I did for the last two rereads we did of the trilogy. And there was things that were in the film that weren't in the book, and vice versa, or a little bit different. I was like, oh, I don't remember this. This is weird. Or I remembered it differently. Marta, would you like to share?
Yeah. I also had read the books as a child, but I can't actually remember whether I liked them or not. I'm assuming I probably did, because I don't remember strongly disliking any books when I was a child. Or now, for that matter. And I also ended up binge reading all 3 of them back to back, except that was 2 months ago because I got addicted. So, let's see how much I remember of what happens.
Yeah, it was also a minute ago that I read this one because before Catching Fire, I was also reading right up to the live show, and I didn't really have the time to digest it. So I came into the last live discussion really, I think, salty. Sorry about that. So do we just want to start with like general things we liked and didn't like, or I don't know what we should start with because I wanted to do this a little bit more casually without having like strict discussion.
Can I ask you
topics.
guys a question? Did anyone remember them being in 2? Like District 2? Because that's just... Didn't remember that at all.
No.
No, me neither.
Like nothing about that.
Had
It
no
rang a bell
memory.
when I was reading it, but not like much.
So it's not just me. It's all of us. I love it.
Yeah, that seemed like completely new information. But again, is it the movie corrupting my memory?
Are they not into in the movie? I don't know if I've ever seen
I don't
the movie.
remember.
I remember the mountain. I don't remember that it was in District 2. I just remember that they blew up a mountain at some point in the book.
Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, I've
think-
basically forgotten about that now until you mentioned it, so like...
What I forgot about was in the movie, isn't Effie with them in District 13 like from the beginning?
Yeah, I think she's
In
way
it-
more present.
In this book, like Effie's not even really in it, like until the end, right? Like she just pops back.
Yeah, they're like, what about Effie? And then, like, midway through, and then she's like,
Okay.
And in the book, she gets a real character arc and everything. Or not in the book, in the movie.
yeah.
You know how the one part where they're underground and then they pop up in some lady's apartment and then kill her? When I was reading this, I thought that was Effie because they described the way they
Well,
described
that-
her. They specifically said that she had a big fluffy wig with butterflies in it, and I'm like, that's exactly what Effie looked like. So I literally thought that that Katniss just killed Effie for like a solid 20 pages.
True. Oh, I haven't even thought of that. Yeah. I see how you could feel that way, though. Was it very distressing?
I was so confused.
The one thing, like I was telling Marta when we were first backstage, was that I always start taking notes on these book club books and then forget about it. So the only note I took was from the very first chapter that I didn't like when they were explaining sort of the destruction of District 12, that Gale just knew exactly what was happening and knew which people to get to safety. And it seemed like all the people survived very, very conveniently from District 12 who were important to Katniss because of Gale.
You know what bothered me about that? The fact that he took them to the lake that
Yeah.
we specifically were told that Katniss never told him about. Like, she
Yeah, yes.
specifically thinks that's the one place she's never going to tell him about because it was for her father and her. And then that's just where he took everyone.
It made
He already knew
no
about it.
sense. Like, it started the book off on such a weird note of like,
I mean,
we're just going to explain why all these characters lived when everybody else got demolished in a way that makes no logical sense.
yeah, I do agree with that. But about the lake, I mean, technically, I think it would make sense for Gale to have found it at some point. If he's been hunting out there even longer than Katniss have, like, he might have stumbled upon it, but then wouldn't he have told her about it? Like, if he didn't have an emotional connection to it, so...
So that's a valid point, yeah.
It was such a weird thing that I, like, read that bit and I'm like, wait a second, what?
Yeah, absolutely. Also, Katniss' dad was mentioned so much in this book, right? Like, all throughout, there was like, oh yeah, my dad. And I was like, okay. We did not care about this guy in the second book. Why are we caring about him now?
Yeah, in the first book, I feel like losing her dad was a big thing for her, and then in book 2, a lot of things... That was kind of my main criticism of book 2, was there was a lot going on that wasn't enough to really encapsulate everything in that book. Give it its time. Where this book, it seemed like there was a lot of time with, like, I don't know, subplots that seemed not as satisfying. To me, at least, I guess. I don't know. I guess I wasn't really into the propaganda subplot and some of that stuff going on. I mean, I don't understand it was important for the story, but... And again, sort of the love triangle, completely unsatisfying as a reader. There was nothing satisfying about this. There is no point in the book where it's like... I never felt like there's a moment where, like, you really think that Katniss and Gale are going to be a thing. Like, I never bought it, ever. Like...
Yeah.
She
I think I
kisses
did
him quite a
the
bit,
first
though.
time round. Like, when I
really?
was reading it as a child, I thought she would end up with Gale, but reading it as an adult, it's like, nope, definitely not.
It
Because
just
she's like, oh, I kiss him just to shut him up. Like, this is kind of like what she would say, like, no, right? Like, she
Yeah.
was always like pity kissing him, which is kind of weird and gross.
But I mean, that's how she started with Peeta too, right? Like kisses to, you know, survive, and then
That's a
kisses
good
because he
point,
was
yeah.
feeling bad because they wanted to have food. So maybe that's just her way to develop feelings for someone. You know, pity kiss them until it works.
I feel like none of the feelings felt realistic to me. Like, when Gale explains when he fell in love with Katniss, that just felt very forced. Peeta falling in love with Katniss, yeah, that kind of sounds believable, but, like, I didn't believe Katniss was in love with either of them the entire time. Like, it made no sense to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I totally ship Katniss with Peeta. Like, I totally see that, like, the time in the arena really bonded them. Like,
I want that. Like in my heart, I want that for Peeta because I love him so much as a character. But I don't know. I never trusted
Really?
Katniss.
I feel like in
love her.
Catching Fire, she is so, like, I would die for Peeta. Peeta is number one. He is so good.
Yeah,
I
but
do not
is she
deserve
doing it
him.
because she loves him, or is she doing it because she feels like she has to because he saved her first? Like, duty bound.
A lot of her, like, things that she says, because, like, we get it from her perspective, and so it just makes it so much weirder when she says that she's, like, she has to do all these things, and, like, it's just, it reads like she feels obligated to fall in love with him. And it's just so weird.
I love that. Obligated to fall in love with him. Yeah.
Well, she kind of was, like, by the Capitol, like, for a long time. Maybe that was the thing, I think, that made it feel like her internal struggle. Like, do I really care for Peeta, or am I being forced to be with him, and having that choice taken away from her was probably a lot of her internal struggle. So maybe she was, like, secretly, not like secretly, but, like, internally rebelling against the romance because she didn't want to sort of prove everybody right in that way, I guess. Or wanted it to be her choice. Because, I don't know, I really kind of wish that some of the characters would have died from District 12, like, when it got destroyed. It would have been more satisfying. You know,
Especially because her mum and her sister were the ones who were always there through all, like, the accidents and all of the things to take care of people, and now they just suddenly leave. Like, there's a bombing in their district, and they just go to the lake. We're just here, hanging out, having fun. Like, wouldn't they stay and take care of the people who got hurt? If they were, like, the people that she keeps telling us they are, the good people, who care for people who don't care about themselves. Wouldn't they have stayed to take care of
I
the
just assumed everyone
foreigners?
sort of died, like, immediately. I didn't imagine any, like, injured survivors from the way it was described, but I guess there could have been.
I imagined a little bit of both, depending where the, you know, warfare, how it happened.
Okay, question. Madge and her parents, they died?
Yeah.
Okay, because I thought they did, and then at the very end, there's like an entire conversation about them, and I couldn't tell if when they said that they found them, if they meant they found the bodies or they found the people hiding, because it was really ambiguous there, and I was just like, wait a
I
second.
read it as the buddies, just because they were near the graveyard and all that. But I
but,
guess
like,
they didn't specify.
They never said the word bodies, they just said, we found the mayor and his family. And so I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I understood also. Yeah, corpses. I don't know.
I mean, even if they survived the bombing, there's no way they wouldn't have starved.
You don't know that. They could have done something. Other people get to live for stupider reasons. Like, okay. I'm just gonna say, Enovaria, there's no reason to bring her back except for the vote. Okay, I'm gonna go on my little rant
my
here.
Go ahead.
Finnick shouldn't have died. I'm usually really good at like being okay with characters dying and like accepting that. First of all, it was such an anticlimactic death.
Yes.
There was like no reason. There was very little mourning of his death. We don't see Annie at all ever. Like we see her for like half a second, in the rest of the book. And like the only reason, in my opinion, I think that he died is so that the vote would be split towards voting yes for the last Hunger Games, because we know he would have voted no, and it wouldn't have worked. And
I didn't even think about that. That's a really good point. I felt like she just wanted like the shock factor of killing off characters, but just didn't have like, couldn't kill off those District 12 characters at the beginning, like Katniss's mom or something. Oh, but I could just throw away like Finnick later. Oh, so
Yeah,
Finnick was like one of my favorite characters. I'm so mad about this.
but I think it might have been also to throw the capital off, because he was one of the favorite victors of the capital as well. So to show them like, hey, your favorites aren't safe either. Not just the rebels die, but everyone that you would have wanted to survive also dies. I don't know how to phrase it, but I think you know what I mean. Just take the one that they would have preferred to survive away quite early on. I mean, it's not that early, but before the big final thing.
I feel like there should have been more of a show of it then. Like, show the Capitol reacting to this, because the Capitol like puts out this thing saying like, hey, Katniss and Finnick and everyone they were with is dead, before any of them actually died. The Capitol thinks they're all dead, and we don't see anyone's reaction. We don't learn anything about what the people actually think, and I think that's like a drawback to the fact that it's in first person, because we don't get to see that unless Katniss sees it. And like, I don't know, it was just a whole big mess there. From the time that they landed in the Capitol, it just went completely downhill, and I was so confused, and none of it made any sense to me.
It also feels completely pointless. Like, the big final showdown doesn't involve Katniss at all. She's just there to witness it. Which feels really strange. Like, why did all of those people die? Why did she go there in the first place? She didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there were so many things about this book that felt just like choppy like that. Because I earlier this year I read the prequel, The Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes, about President Snow, where it's like the roses are really like a big thing. But I felt like and I was waiting during the reread for them to come back, and I feel like they didn't even mention them until this book. So it's like Katniss finds the rose at the beginning of this book, but they didn't really mention it in book 1 or book 2 about President Snow and the roses. Like, there's like so many things, like, I don't know, it just felt like, what? Okay, like this is like this big
wasn't there a thing
symbol.
at the start where they drop off a bunch of roses once they bombed the District 13, I think?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In this book, right?
Oh, okay.
But in the other 2 books, like, it wasn't
I feel
really
like it might
a
have been
symbol.
mentioned, but not like a big thing.
Yeah.
I don't
It
know.
only
I
smells of blood
feel
and
like
roses.
I feel like I was looking for it. They did call him a snake several times, or say like a snake-like thing,
Which is
I
very
was like,
fitting.
yeah, which I thought there was some stuff there with President Snow that I thought was good, but I don't know. After reading the prequel, I had remembered things that were in the trilogy, the original trilogy, that weren't there at all. Like, I don't know, I just filled in blanks.
Retconned it.
Yeah.
Oh, I really loved when Katniss was like, when they were broadcasting Finnick talking about all the secrets, and Katniss was like, oh, I don't know why this is airing, maybe the capital people want to know. And I was like, that's an interesting thought. Maybe they do want that to be aired, but at the same time, like, wouldn't they, like, get really bad punishments if it was found out that they, like, is it worth it for them to air those secrets, but then be probably killed if it's found out,
Yeah, there's definitely, like, again, like, where the first person sort of limits it. Like, it would be kind of cool if there was, like, yeah, even, like, TV broadcasts or, like, the average Capitol family, something thrown in there for us to get a different perspective outside Katniss to understand what's going on.
I feel like a lot of it has to do with the fact that Katniss is like, her brain is basically broken. She's been through so much trauma. She's had brain damage and all this stuff, and so she never knows what's going on. So I don't know how the readers expected to make any sense of it. It's just annoying. Also, I hate the writing style because it feels like every other like sentence is a fragment, and it's so choppy, and it was so annoying to read. Just have to get that out there.
I don't know, this one felt a lot different to me, like, the reading experience, where book 1 was so great. Like, I really think the first Hunger Games book is really amazing, and it just didn't feel like up to the same standard to me.
To be fair, maybe that was intentionally done to show just how broken she is, because that's how her reality is now. It's not smooth. It's not nice. It's broken. It's chopped up. It doesn't make sense.
So. I don't know. I just didn't like. I don't know. It felt like her internal storyline and like the very subtle things in book one of like, even though she's very quiet, there was all those threads and layers there, and this felt like Katniss was just being drugged along for plot purposes, instead of like having real internal reasons for the things. Like I don't know, her actions and stuff. I don't know, maybe like Suzanne Collins just had this picture in her mind of all these different things, like very much caught up in the idea of like District 13 and Coin and Snow and some of the other stuff going on, and Katniss's sort of internal stuff got a little bit overshadowed by the bigger outside rebellion plot.
Yeah, also you just have so much more plot by book 3. You have all of these characters you care about, all of these different things that need to be worked on, so it's just more going on than Katniss is going to the Hunger Games. You know?
Yeah. What did you guys think about like the District 13 scenes and stuff going on there? Do we have any opinions on that?
I actually quite liked the stealth book. Like, my main problem with the book was that she doesn't seem to influence the plot itself. But like when she's in District 13 and she's doing all the like marketing promo thingies.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I read it in Spanish. I can't remember what they called them. Like it just feels like she's actually doing something, and it does make sense for her to be doing that sort of work, even if it's not as interesting as if she was on the battlefield. At least it's like logical.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
But then for the end, it's like it doesn't make sense for her to go off on her own and try and beat Snow by herself and then not actually do it. It just felt completely pointless.
Yeah, it kind of did, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you're right. Like when she was in District 13, like her like not listening to her little orders on her whatever agenda she had for the day, like that felt very Katniss and different things. Like she kind of knew that she had some special treatment because they wanted her to be the Mockingjay and all this stuff. But you're right. By the time they get to the Capitol and are going on this mission or whatever, it felt a little bit like everything was happening for plot reasons and not logic reasons.
Also, when she's like agreeing to do those videos and she sets all of these like conditions and stuff, like that felt very much like her sort of regaining her agency and stuff, and then it's just taken away again at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, the end was bad.
There's no way she should have been let off after killing President Coin, which I did not remember. I got to that point and I'm like, wait, what? Because
Really?
I did not remember that at all. And
See, I definitely remembered that.
Yeah.
I knew it was
Yeah.
leading to that, but I couldn't remember exactly how it got there.
I
Yeah.
just don't. It's so unbelievable that they would have just been like, oh yeah, she's not right in the head. She's fine. We'll just let her be free. Like, no, that's not how that works.
It didn't make a lot of sense. Like it just seemed so jumbled, that end bit with like her sister and the Capitol, and it was like, what's going on here?
Yeah. I thought that too, and I was like, maybe it's because I'm listening on 3 times speed, but seeing as you guys were all also very confused, maybe it's just the book.
They did it different in the movie, didn't they? Like I thought it was something different.
It's
But I
been
can't
like
quite
6
remember.
years since
Yeah.
I've seen it. I have no idea.
I thought about rewatching, but I just couldn't put myself through it. I couldn't. Oh.
I
What
was
was I gonna
also
say?
confused by her like voting in favor of the Hunger Games continuing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
That,
does anyone understand her reasoning? Because I did not understand that at all.
all she says is
Didn't.
for Prim, but like Prim wouldn't have wanted that.
No.
Oh, see, I
also-
thought she was joking. I thought Katniss was just like joking to see like if how far they would take it. I thought Katniss was kind of like seeing like giving her reason to actually, I don't know, justify.
Yeah, it
I
felt
don't-
like he was planning on killing Coin at that point, and that was her reasoning. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I don't think he did. So it just
Okay,
felt a
I-
bit strange.
I thought she was testing them to see if they were like serious. Like I didn't think that she wanted it for real. I think she was I thought she was testing them at least. That's what I thought.
Testing
That would make sense.
Testing the District 13.
Because not that long before that, we're in District 2, and she's like talking to this District 2 person who, got hurt and comes out of the train. She's like, we're all the same, why are we fighting? And then to go and be like, yeah, capital kids need to fight to death. That would be
Yeah,
big
that's the thing,
turnaround.
though. They didn't explain it. They left that way too ambiguous, where definitely some readers would think like, "Oh, Katniss is just out for revenge."
There was no description in I remember rereading that passage 3 times trying to figure out what was going, because it doesn't describe the way she says it. It doesn't give any of her internal monologue when she's giving this
Yeah.
statement, yeah, let's have another Hunger Games with the capital kids. We don't get any insight on that, and it felt so weird. And I'm like, okay, so is this actually a thing that's happening? What?
It's like they were trying to go for shock value in first person, when we're in her first person mindset, but they wanted to shock us, the reader, by giving us no explanation.
And then I'm assuming
Lexi was here earlier.
I'm assuming the actual it never really happened, because they don't ever mention it again. So
Yeah, no.
okay.
I mean, it was supposed to happen under Coin, and she, kind of not survived, so I'm assuming it died with her,
Well, something that got brought up. Oh, Willis is also here. Something that got brought up in the first Hunger Games discussion was I said oh, the Hunger Games is an allegory for communism, and then I was like, oh no, I'm stupid. I don't know anything about politics. And later, my partner was like, no, Violet, you're right. It's totally about communism because, he really hyped me up about this, telling me how right I was about this, even though I was just I'm stupid. I don't know about politics. He's like, the Hunger Games in the capital and the districts, that's what communism looks like in real life, It's not equal. And I feel like this book was very on the nose. District 13 is communism on paper, and Pan Am and the other whatever capital and districts is communism in actuality, what it looks like, an execution. Because, I mean, District 13 is textbook communism, no? Everything is equal. They get a job. Nobody takes more than what they need. It was very. I feel like it was. Rereading it, it seemed much more heavy-handed than I remember it the first time around. Oh, they're letting us know that this is a little bit messed up too. And the first time I read it, I was thinking, oh yeah, District 13, they're the good guys. Okay, I knew what was going to happen. So on a reread, but it seemed very obvious this time around that, okay, this is not a good situation here either.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like all the scenes in District 13 give me this flashback to when I was years ago, in a museum in Berlin, and we were being taught about, these bunkers that people had to live in during the wars and stuff like that. And it felt very much like that. Just from the vibes, from the feelings, from the you don't get more than you need and stuff like that. And I don't know, that just made me feel really bad for those people, obviously, because I had a real life, these are just fictional characters, but I had real life people to relate it to. People did have similar conditions at some points and had to live in bunkers like they did in this book. So yeah, that was heavy. I guess
my thing was this Suzanne Collins intention from the first book onwards? Because I don't know, it just felt very disjointed from the story we got before, the other 2 stories, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So it was all of a sudden we're going very heavy into this political allegory situation. And before it was just yeah, dystopian thing. And I don't know, it just felt...
Okay, so honestly for me it feels like she had book 1 and book 3 planned before, and then she had this great idea, one drunken night of the arena for book 2, and then she was like, I have to do this, because I mean it's a great idea, it's so thought out, but it doesn't necessarily fit. I mean the idea is good, but the arena is so greatly built, it feels like to me that was a idea, she was I'm going with it, and I can build everything around that later.
I really tried to look for interviews about her talking about her process. I couldn't find anything. If anybody knows of any, I would be curious to know about her writing process. Did she spend years writing the Hunger Games, have it as her baby, and then have the vague ideas, and then was on deadline to publish it and just, I don't know, pooped out the next 2 books in a rush? Or was this her intention all along? But that's like one
TikTok,
thing.
deadline's coming.
Maybe that was it. Maybe that was the inspiration for book 2. TikTok. You know, when they say just write anything, maybe that's what she started writing. Oh, so funny.
I still really like book 2 though, but that was funny.
Now I like it. Now looking back at it, I was like, okay, actually book 2 is fire. Ha 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 ha. So, it would be funny.
I like the characters we were introduced to in book 2. Because, like,
Yeah, exactly.
all the characters in book 1, like, obviously you're going to be introduced to a bunch of characters 'cause it's the first book, but then I really like the ones we meet for the first time in the second book because they, like, there's a reason why they're being introduced. They're not just, like, because you need characters to have a story. But then I feel like the characters in book 3, like, obviously we have President Coin, who, like, she kind of just felt like a bitch for the sake of being a bitch. Like, it didn't feel like a real person. And, like, the camera crew, like, I really liked them, but, like, pretty much anyone else they introduced in the third book just felt flat to me.
Oh no, I loved the military guy, Bugs. But
Yeah.
what is he called?
Oh yeah, he was nice.
I was kind of including him in, like, the crew. Like, the
Fair
people
enough.
that she goes to the Capitol with, I really liked all of them. Didn't really care about anyone else.
Oh, really? I think everybody, like, I think all the new characters fell flat. Like, it just seemed like a bunch of random new characters thrown in. You barely get time to know any of them.
I mean,
like,
which is
don't know.
exactly Katniss, like, feelings, right? Like, a whole bunch of new people, they all wear the same things, they all do the same things, because they're told the same things, so...
Yeah, I guess so. It was cool to see Plutarch Heavensby's, like, capital, who was his, like, capital crony who was there with him, like, who was never, like, cool with the District 13, like, rations and still always complaining about stuff. I don't even know the character's name. I don't even know any of the new characters' names, like, in one ear, out the other, like... I don't know. I really wanted to ask you guys what you think about Peeta's storyline in this book, because I have a lot of feelings about that. Oh wait, Katie's saying something. I also wonder if it is because Katniss is trying to keep distanced from people because she is afraid of losing more loved ones.
Ooh,
That's a good point.
yeah.
I don't know, because I felt like she was still keeping, like, the ones close, like, even Gale, who was, like, a total dick, she was keeping him close, she was keeping Finnick, like, close. But it could be. She definitely...
Though she doesn't really sound like a character to make friends easily, so...
That's true.
Yeah, it's like the one line where, what was her name? Deli? How Deli's like, oh yeah, I always thought you were really cool, we all did, but we just didn't want to talk to you because you were so
Yeah.
intimidating.
Yeah, that's true. But did it kind of feel like in book 2, Katniss was sort of like learning trust and teamwork by the end of book 2, because, you know, she got put in the... And it seemed like this time around, some of that was, I don't know. She still felt like, especially at the end, it felt like she was very much having this mission of her own to, like, trick everybody and go off on her own and do President Snow, which kind of, I don't know, felt like it erased some of that character arc from the last book that she built up.
Yeah.
But again,
in book 2 she tries to build up that trust, and then she feels like they betrayed her by leaving Peeta behind and not, like, helping her with that.
Yeah.
So
That's
it
true.
sort of still works.
I also feel like the big turning point for her in book 3 is when she does obey the military, you know, when they're doing that test. I feel like that's very un-Katniss-esque. But she does it because she's like, I have my plan and I need to do it, you know? So I felt like that was definitely something where she was thinking ahead and being like, okay, I need to fulfill my plan.
oh yeah, she was definitely scheming then. Trying to break the system from the inside, which that for me was interesting. Like, I like that sort of game story. Like, that to me felt more reminiscent of the berries, like breaking the system from the inside. Whereas like later when it got like breaking the system from the outside and being crazy and this big plan and all the theatrics, that, I don't know. I like the clever, slow stuff going on like that. I don't know. I'm more here for that. Oh, back to Peeta.
We haven't started with Peeta.
I
feel
love
like-
Peeta. I don't care. I love it. I don't like how they did him in this book. What do you guys think?
I think it was an interesting arc. It just wasn't executed as well as it could have been. I think there wasn't enough time between the last time they saw him on TV from when they brought him to District 13 and he tried to kill Katniss. I feel like there need to have been a gap there that just wasn't there. It just jumped right from one thing to the next, and that's what made his, like, sudden hatred of Katniss feel so unrealistic, because his last act on television was saying something that could have gotten him killed for the benefit of Katniss, and then the next time we see him, he's trying to kill her, and we know why, but it feels like there needed to be something in the middle. Even if we don't see that something, if there was just time between those two events, it would have felt more believable. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, didn't they say they weren't sure if it was pre-recorded or not, those early ones?
But
The earlier
the
ones,
first
they
one,
said,
yeah.
But the
okay.
last one where he's like saying something about the bombing and then he like
Yeah, he's
his blood is
reacting.
showing
Oh,
splatter
okay,
on the
okay. You
thing.
guys read
That
it a little
one
more
was fine,
recently.
yeah.
Okay,
So
that's
there's
a good point.
one that they did right after the arena where he's like looking good and fine, but then there's another one that we see that's kind of a reaction to something Katniss did, right? And he's already looking bad then, and that's when he's like, "We're bombing you, get out!"
Oh
And
yeah,
then-
okay. You're right. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, I feel like they did try to sweep it a little bit under the rug by, wasn't it like Joanna who was with him? I kept saying Johanna, but it's Joanna, isn't it? I kept saying her name wrong the whole last stream. She said like, oh, he was tortured and screaming in the thing next to me, and that's really the only behind the scenes we get of what was really going on with Peeta, was that like one or two sentences that she.
And then
gives
later
us.
on, he asks something about seeing someone die, I think, or being tortured or so, which they can't deny or confirm. But he's like, "Did that happen? Did it happen?" And they're like, "We guess so." True.
And the whole like it wasn't shiny thing that made no sense to me.
See, I think I do understand that, because when I think of, being drunk, memories of being drunk are different than memories of being sober. So I compared it kind of to that. On a more extreme level, maybe.
I just don't like the idea for the plot. Like, I don't like that idea. Like, there's so many fun things you could have done with Peeta as a character. Like,
What would you have done?
Yeah,
Well,
rewrite the third book. Come on,
I'm still debating if I want to film a video about how I would change the Hunger Games or not.
Violet's Nano Project is just rewriting Mockingjay.
You never
love
know. Literally, the moment I entered the stream, I heard him say, "Get out!"
I'm so sorry. It wasn't directed at you, I swear. Please don't yeet me, Violet, please.
I'll show you mercy today.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't happy with the Peeta plot, just because it felt like they just wanted to get Peeta out of the equation to like make the thing with Gale seem a little bit more doable. I don't know. And again, I never bought it. I just never bought Gale and Katniss together.
See, I feel like I would have bought it more if in the first book, when there's like a couple of moments where she's like, yeah, but I'm not in love with Gale. If she like was into him from the beginning, I think I would have believed the possibility of their romance a little more.
Same.
Even if we didn't see his side of it right away.
So I was thinking maybe, and this is a big stretch, maybe she's kind of asexual, like, because she, in the beginning, she's like, I don't want to get married, I don't want to have kids, I don't want to be with anyone. So I was like, okay, she's asexual, which obviously she's not if she ends up with Peeta at some point, but she could have maybe just gone with that, No love interest. Like, that would have been more fitting, I think.
That's another thing I wonder. Did Suzanne Collins push the love triangle because like the fans held on to it?
I love a good love triangle, but it's not a good love triangle.
Because I felt like book one was not very romantic. It was very subtly. It was a lot more subtle. Yes, there was, potential for love in this fake dating thing going on. Complicated, weird fake dating, albeit, but still. Did she just roll with it? I don't know. I don't know. It wasn't. Wait. Michael? Oh my God, yes, right. I will not.
Why not?
Aw.
I might do a video just saying like what I wanted to change of the Hunger Games. I've been thinking about it for a long time.
Do it.
I would have bought it if it was on sale. I don't know. Okay, so is there any other thoughts about Peeta?
Yeah, I feel like they took the one thing that was so great about him, you know, him loving Katniss, and they just threw it away. Like, obviously, he's a great character and he has a lot of qualities, but I feel like the big thing that always stood out was, like, I love Katniss Everdeen. Like, that's me. I'm the boy who bakes bread. I love Katniss Everdeen. And then they just took that away, and it kind of left him, I don't want to say flat, because there's still a lot to his character, but missing something. I feel like he was missing something when he wasn't loving Katniss, if that makes sense.
I feel like that was kind of the point. Like, I don't know.
Probably.
The way I read it is like, obviously there's something wrong to have
Sorry, I'll
this
be
huge
right back.
drastic change.
Martin, her white
Oh,
noise.
that's so quiet.
What I really liked was that they kind of brought it full circle to this quote, that one quote that I highlighted in the first book of Peeta when he was like, I want to die on my own terms. I love that they brought that full circle in this book to where Katniss being like, wow, I finally understand Peeta. He got it from the beginning. Like, I did love that little bit. I just like Peeta. I'm here for Peeta. Gail can go to hell.
Cute. Yeah.
I really don't like Gail. I hate that guy.
Gale is like the cool guy that like from the outside it's like, yeah, everyone loves him, but like really everyone hates him and can't stand him.
Oh, you know what I really hate about Gale is when Katniss was like, have you ever kissed someone else? He's like, yeah, I've kissed so many girls, like everywhere. And I'm like, what?
Exactly.
He's so gross. I just don't like him at all. I think the only reason in my mind I remember like Gale being okay, it was just because like in the movies it's Liam Hemsworth. Like, oh yeah, Liam is nice. Oh, but when I actually read the book, nothing redeemable about the character of Gale.
Yeah.
Peeta Stan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peeta is cool. He had depth to him.
Though, I
was
feel like in a
interesting.
different world where Peeta wouldn't survive, like Katniss and Joanna. Is anyone else seeing it? Like, they have, like,
Yeah. They're trading
screaming
montage?
at each other
Oh my
until they
God.
fuck. Like, right? Like, that's just... I mean, that's what I'm getting. Like, they're standing, like, face to face, screaming at each other with so much rage, and then they just go get it on.
I love
Again,
Joanna.
I was just gonna say I
so
love her
good.
too. She's so good.
Such a good character.
Well, I wish we would have gotten more of her in the book. The stuff we got of her in this book was great, though. I loved the stuff of her in Katniss in this book. It was really great.
Forget her Prim.
Also, I think her
sequel. I
first-
want more Joanna.
I think her first interaction with Katniss as well was literally just getting naked in front of her, so like, I can see
Yeah.
that.
She was a good character. That's what I said. The characters that were introduced in Catching Fire, Joanna and Finnick, they're just two of my favorites in the whole series. They're so good. And can we talk about like Finnick and Annie's wedding? How cute! Like,
Oh my god.
I forgot how adorable that was.
Yeah, but it also felt a little... Like, I get it. Like, you want to get married, you love each other. Now you finally have the time, but like, in the middle of a war?
No, that's a thing. That's an actual literary technique, is to have a wedding right between, right in the middle section of your Act 3. So it's like, I'm going to bring up alchemy because that's my thing. It's in like the alchemical process, there's, the first section is all about breaking down things to their base components, and you can see that's a lot of what the first book is. And then Act 2 is about taking those base components and then making them like their purest forms. And then Act 3 is bringing everything back together again. And that's why so many things have weddings in the beginning of their third act. So like Harry Potter has Bill and Fleur's wedding. There's this.
Oh, yeah.
There's, in the Chronicles of Narnia, it's not a wedding, but it's when Aslan and the Queen exchange power. That's like a symbolic wedding. It's everywhere. Like it's a thing.
I really enjoyed the wedding. I'm gonna say I was so happy. I'm gonna be honest, because I forgot that Finnick died. Maybe I had just blocked it from my memory because I loved Finnick so much. And then, like in the last discussion, you guys like, Finnick, and I was like, la la la. Like I kind of knew something bad was gonna happen to him, but I kind of forgot that's what it was. I blocked it from my memory. So when he was getting married, I was like, I'm so happy for you guys. You're so cute together.
But how convenient is it that Cinna made more dresses and left them at Katniss's house? Like, come on.
Yeah, Cinna, it seemed like they really glorified Cinna in death.
He deserves it, though. He is my
wish he had
love,
more
my
concrete
baby.
ending. Like, they just say he's probably dead, and then, like, 5 chapters later, they're like, yeah, he's dead. Like, we know for sure now. But we don't get any, like, conclusion to him.
Yeah.
But didn't it seem like all of a sudden Cinna was this huge rebel, where before it seemed like he had just done like one little act, like kind of Katniss and her berries, just one little act of like, you know, whatever his, what did he do with the wedding dress? Why did they kill him again? I don't know.
Well,
And then,
You could
Yeah,
say
the
it
wedding
was the
dress
spot,
settings.
and then
Yeah.
things caught fire, and his involvement grew.
that's true, but it made it seem like he had done all this like pre-planning, rebel, like had this big idea of making her this propaganda piece for the other side.
There
It's
was
like,
a lot he did between the quarter quells being announced and him dying. Yeah.
And don't forget, at the same time, he was also designing Katniss's own designed dresses.
oh yeah.
True.
It's a lot of
Man's
work.
an icon.
We're not worthy. Yeah, now that we brought it up, it kind of makes sense. Oof, no. Yeah, Finnick. I love him. Like I have a book crush on him, but not like I want to be with him. Like I'm happy for him and Annie. Like they're so cute together. Like, but I just love him as a character. Like I want to be his.
You're
Crush,
so
you wanna be his
selfless.
best friend.
Yeah, I want to be his friend. Also Annie's friend. Like I actually wish we would have got more of her because she's so cool. And I would have liked to know more about her character, to be honest, because I thought she was interesting. Hi, Crystal. What were we talking about?
We were still on the Peeta thing. I don't think we wrapped that up. But, I mean, for you, we probably can never wrap that up because he lives in your
No.
heart forever.
No, but I mean, Peeta only comes really then back full circle at the end, right?
Yeah,
For them
even
kinda-
then.
It felt kind of unsatisfying. I don't know. It felt almost like too forced happily ever after. And I feel like they didn't really even discuss like the political outcome of the land.
Yeah.
Like, what is the government situation when the whole book was about the government and the bad corruption of the government that they just really glazed over it? Like,
They
Also-
talk about how part of District 12 now has their own farming, so, like, are all the districts independent of each other now? Like, what is going on?
yeah, they really glazed over it. The point was they're together and have kids.
Yeah, but they have kids 13 years after, so there is some kind of birth control that we do not hear about. And I don't think we've heard about birth control ever before in this series. It seems like when you do it, you have a kid. But they wait like 13 years, so how does that work? Do they just
Unless
not
they literally just didn't.
for 13 years?
On the first stream, when you were here for Book 1 of Hunger Games, you were like, oh, aren't they doing it in the arena, like broadcasting porn? And now you're here talking about birth control, like, this is YA.
I'm sorry.
I love that your takeaway was birth control from that.
I need to make sure, when you have like 1 million subscribers that these videos cannot get monetized because they are special. So we need to talk about
they are
sex
special.
and porn and birth control.
Well, I do always mark on my videos, not for children, so.
Yeah.
Dang, Hunger Games.
Though, I feel like, obviously it's YA, but like it's quite brutal sometimes. And is it really worse to, talk in depth about someone being killed or birth control?
Yeah. I'm there. What do you guys think about like that hospital scene where she visits the hospital and then like everybody gets blown up directly after?
That stuff. That's a lot. But I feel like it shows a good, view of, the government. Like, we don't give a shit if you're sick. We don't give a shit if you're just trying to survive. We will destroy that.
Kind of just felt like it was there for foreshadowing. Like, it was a good scene for Katniss's character development, but at the same time, it felt so oddly shoved in there. Like, it felt out of place with the scenes that surrounded it.
Also, it just happens to happen the first time she ever goes out again.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't really like how some of the sort of propaganda stuff was handled. I understand why it was because of the communism allegory that was going on. So I understand the purpose of what the book was trying to do. But I don't know. So many of that stuff, it felt very unsatisfying. Like as a reader, like I didn't care about that. Like the plot, like those people in the hospital was like the first moment I cared about something. And it's like, you knew they were going to die. Like even before, like I couldn't remember they were going to die. I knew that everybody was going to die. Like I knew it. It was like, I don't know, obvious that it was just for plot reasons there.
I don't know, I feel like
know.
a big theme throughout all 3 books in the series is trying to convince other people of things you're not necessarily convinced of yourself. And if you as the reader get the, I don't believe this, but I have to convince other people, you kind of don't get convinced because you know your main character isn't convinced, so yeah.
I think Katie is here for the birth control conversation.
Yay!
Yeah, well, I guess so.
I mean, Gabe will probably need it too with how many girls he's kissed in various places, you know.
That's true. Gale, oh my god, I really hate that guy. Like, other than like the extremely convenient saving everybody in District 12, what has he done?
Has a
I
lot of
also,
siblings. That's really it.
I also feel like he has this entitlement over Katniss. Like, yeah, you're best friends, but like, she does not belong to you, mate. Like, step back.
He's very territorial of her, which is... I don't know, Katniss is not the type of girl who... I don't know, she's very independent. Like... And like Peeta, where he's so like... He's not soft-spoken. He's, you know, charismatic. He's clever. But he seems to, I don't know, compliment Katniss better, I think, in my opinion. Whereas Gale is just... I'm sorry, I just always puke a little bit in my mouth when I talk about him. I just can't. Let's not talk about Gale. Let's talk about, hold on, Haymitch. One of my other favorite characters. Yeah. I do like that there was this, I did like the plot line of Katniss being mad at Haymitch for not letting her in. I thought that was great. That was a storyline I was invested in. What did you guys think? How are you feeling about Haymitch?
My favorite scene in the whole book is when they're like apologizing to each other or like accusing each other, kind of, you know, why didn't you save him? Why didn't you? That's the best thing. And also when she reaches out to him, when she's, you know, realizing that they're using Peeta, because they're just so close and they love them so much. I have other feelings for Haymitch.
I agree. I think some of those dialogue moments between Katniss and Haymitch were some of the gems of the book where it's like, yes, this felt like the feel of book 1 that I loved. Like, it captured that moment because the character dynamic between Haymitch, Peeta, and Katniss is so great, them as a trio.
Yeah, he's kind of their surrogate dad, but also their friend, which is a weird dynamic, but I love it.
He's like the uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like in the movies and the fandom, it's very like Gale and Peeta and Katniss, but in the book, it's like Haymitch is like the glue. Haymitch, Katniss, and Peeta are they're the three. They're the trio.
Did
Yes.
we like see him in like the epilogue and stuff? Because I think there's like a brief mention that he like never comes out and he's still drunk and all that stuff, which breaks my heart because like I want him
who he is.
I want him to play with Katniss and Peeta's kids. I want him to be their babysitter. Like,
yeah,
he deserves that.
I want the kid to fall over, scrap his knee, and then Haymitch like pick it up and run to Katniss like, it's broken. What do I do? You know, that's the energy I want.
Haymitch drinks until the liquor runs out and then raises geese until the next train arrives. So that's like on the second to the last page. Mm-hmm. That's what we get?
Like, he deserved so much better. Like, this, like, whole epilogue is about healing and moving on, and, like, Haymitch has his fair share of trauma, too. Like, does he not get that?
I feel like Haymitch had such a beautiful character arc in book 1 of having that moment of, like, realizing that his tribute stood a chance and actually trying for the first time in his life as a mentor and his whole arc just went out the window.
It's very much a roller coaster, which I'm fine with. Like, he definitely has his ups and downs. It's just like, wish it was a little bit better.
Gale bad, Haymitch good. I'm listening. Yes, Michael has understood our TED Talk today, which is legit the best.
I love that we all agree.
Yeah.
I have no idea which one it is.
Yeah, I don't know either, to be
Do you
honest.
pronounce the T or do you not?
Haymitch.
I feel like the two of you should give a comment, because English is your first language, right? I feel like we are out.
I don't know if I pronounce the T. I don't think I don't think when I speak there would be a difference between if it's TCH or just CH. I think they sound the same.
Agreed.
Is it Haymitch or Haymitch?
Haymitch.
Well, CH doesn't make a sh sound. It makes a sh sound.
Mitch.
Maybe that's me. Sorry.
But also, I am very bad at pronouncing things correctly because I'm from New Jersey and we don't know how to speak, so...
Didn't the movie do like a weird romantic subtext with him
Yes!
and Effie?
Yes! I was
That
just
was a
about to
better
bring that
story.
up.
Why didn't they do that in the book? Because Effie got so sidelined. Effie could have had a great character arc. The dynamic between Haymitch and Effie, like, I don't know who did the screenplay for the movie, but they're getting the gold star for that one. That was a good one. That was better than what Suzanne Collins did with those characters. Those were great characters. They had so much potential.
Going back to like pronunciation and spelling real quick, how is Peeta spelled in the English version of the books?
Peeta.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it is the same. I wasn't sure if they just like changed it in Spanish so that you would pronounce it the English way, or if it was just like that's his name.
He's also called that in the German version, I think.
Pita bread?
Yeah, I think it is supposed to be a little nod to bread. Being
Although
cheeky
pita
and
bread
funny.
is spelled P-I-T-A.
Yeah, but I still think the name was
Yeah, it's so funny.
a purposely bred version of Peter. I think was what Suzanne Collins was going for.
Bread version of
Speaking of
pizza.
names, it always pissed me off that Gale's last name is Hawthorne, because that's the name of the town that I'm from. And so when the movies came out, like, all of the branding was about Gale, because that's his last name, and it was so annoying.
Really, Gail?
But, like, it's the name of a bush. Like, yeah, they're gonna give the hunter a plant last name. Like, that makes sense. He's out in nature all the time. And, like, Everdeen sounds like evergreen. Like, the names in this are, like, some of them are really good, but, like, they're also really, like, funny when you think about them.
You know what I was really thinking about? Going back to President Snow and him having the rose and then being like Primrose and then like Prim. And doesn't she even say something about that? Like, oh no, this isn't a rose. This is a primrose. This is like a good rose, not like the President Snow rose. Like,
Yeah, doesn't
Yeah.
Peeta bring her one, like, after, when they're back?
He digs up
Yeah.
a bunch of bushes and brings them back to the house, and she's just like, what the fuck?
it's like you're sending mixed symbols here, Suzanne Collins. What's going on? I don't know. What do you guys think actually about Prim's storyline here? Because so many characters got the short end of the stick in this book.
I feel like she gets the short end of the stick because we don't see her be herself. It's always through Katniss's eyes, and so it's kind of like forcing this like angelic vision on her. And like, oh, she's this healer, she takes after their mother, she's always just wanting to help people, but like we don't ever hear from her. We just see her do things. And like, I don't know, she just feels really flat to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, she absolutely does, though. This is gonna sound bad, but I didn't really care that she got blown up. Like,
Oh, same.
okay.
Because we didn't get enough time with her to even really get to know her, other than Katniss just... I would have loved to see more of her, like, learning healing and why she cared about healing and her connection with Katniss and their sisterly bond. I would have appreciated that instead of just knowing that Katniss being like, I love Prim because she's my sister.
Yeah.
Because I think she was really underutilized. I feel like so many of the characters had a lot of potential, and Prim was one of them who had a lot of potential to do more or be a
And a
bigger
mother.
presence in the book.
the mother definitely had potential for like her own little character arc, and we just don't care about her.
I think the mother should have died when District 12 got blown up. I thought that would have been like Katniss really on her own, real stakes of
But then
the
you don't
district.
get the line about her drawing into herself again, like when her husband died, and you don't get that parallel, which like,
And
is
also-
stupid anyway.
Yeah, but I think it would have been better than that Prim then would step up as the healer. Prim would step up as an independent woman. I think that would have, it just would have been better overall, the story, to kill her mom and have her be a true orphan, in my opinion.
Though, doesn't that almost make things easier for Katniss in a way? Because throughout a lot of this, we're like reminded of how Katniss did everything. Now Katniss has to take care of everyone. Now Katniss is the one, doing all the things. Though having her mother not be there might even make it easier because there's one more person that she doesn't have to care about.
I don't know. That's what I would have thought. I think in my version of the Hunger Games. Spoiler
Which we will
alert for
see
my
soon.
video, what I'm definitely gonna film.
I know that we like, from a logical standpoint, like it's true that we don't see Prim very much and all that, but I gotta say I still cried my eyes out when she died.
Well,
Fair enough.
you get really sad about any characters being like hurt, so I'm not surprised.
I think the way she died was sad.
Definitely.
Even if I didn't wasn't that bonded to her as a character, I think it was just a sad way to go in general, because also kids died as well. It was sad.
I mean, she is a kid.
Yeah,
That's
they
true.
say she's not even 14 yet because she doesn't have the rank of soldier. Which, the fact that they say, like, once you turn 14 you have the rank of soldier, like, that hit me. Because, like, I feel like in the second book, it never mentions that Katniss is still only 17. And then in the third one, there's, like, one thing where when she's, like, repeating to herself, my name is Katniss Everdeen, I'm 17 years old, blah, 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 blah. Like, that's when it hit me, like, yeah, she's still a child.
Yeah, we love it. 17-year-old
Yeah.
leading the rebellion.
I really felt like that little her reminding herself thing was just like, this is
Reminding
a follow-up,
us that she's
a
17.
follow-up book in a series. We need to give you a little info dump of what we left off on. I was in the Hunger Games. I just okay. Yeah. Well, like Danny and Anne, you guys have both written series. Like maybe you've had to also kind of write those awkward next book in series reminders.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I write amnesia fiction currently, so, like, you do have to repeat a lot of things to a lot of people all the time anyway, so that's very helpful.
I feel like the repetition was very heavy-handed in this series, though. Like when we first see Finnick in book 3, she gives this whole like info dump about everything that happened to him in book 2, and I'm like, is that necessary? Like, do we need every little detail?
Yeah.
Well, you also read the books back to back to back, so
Okay, yeah. Just
some
detail.
of us needed a reminder.
I also feel like when he puts like sugar in a coffee, like when they have coffee in the meeting room thing, and she like really repeats what he said and which setting she said it in. She could, like, you want a sugar cube, I think is what he says. She didn't need all of that. Like, you could just have said the way he said it before, or like when we first met. Like, you didn't need all of that around it, like when it happened, where it happened, how it happened. And I feel like that was a lot. Like,
Save
come
some
on.
things for the people who paid really close attention or for the reread.
Yeah.
You don't need it to be so thick with repetition.
Yeah, some things that's what felt like disjointed to me, was like there was moments that were just so on the head, like obvious, and then there was other moments like her voting for a new Hunger Games where I was like, this is too subtle. Like, you can't be like so heavy-handed with some of these other things going on and then be like, not tell us why Katniss votes for another Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Okay, I kind of forgot about that. That's one of those things that I kind of blocked out of my memory. Like, oh, let's just pretend this didn't happen.
But also it's strange that they would let the, like, I wanted to say visitors again, victors vote. Like, what? If you're, like, the leader of someone, you either make a decision for those people or have everyone involved. Why do you just pick, like, 5 people?
But
Why?
then there was that line where it's just like, and we will let people know that this was your decision. But
You
we won't
fucked that
say
up,
which
not me.
specific people. Yeah. Like, I feel like that was very intentional.
Yeah, I think, Danny, you were onto something about, like, that. I have a feeling that you were onto something when you said that was the reason for the victors being there, who was left was for that vote. I think that Suzanne Collins probably had this scene in her head for a long time, like, oh, it's all going to boil down to if they're going to vote for the next Hunger Games. But it didn't really, I don't think it worked out like how she planned it to, because it was so, like, weird.
But, like, when they brought back Enobaria, and they're like, yeah, because Katniss said immunity for the victors, but she didn't. There was a specific note that it was only the ones she said because she had to add Annie in there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, it just doesn't make sense anyway.
That was, yeah, a little plot hole, that's true. And why did they pick Enobaria?
Didn't she mention
like,
Enobaria there?
No.
No, it was Peeta, Annie,
Joanna.
She didn't say Annie at first and had to go back and add Annie when Finnick said,
There was
oh,
another
thank
one.
you. for
Yeah, there was another one. I'm
naming
looking.
the
Peeta,
victors."
Joanna, and someone else, and then Annie was the fourth one.
Um,
else was there?
Beatty.
Beatty.
Isn't it?
Maybe?
No, Beatty is with them.
Who's
He makes
Beatty
all of
again?
that fun.
The tech dude.
He makes all of those fun weapons and stuff.
I thought it was like someone from District 102, or like one of the like bad guys, but she added them anyway to be kind. So I thought it was Enobaria.
Oh, maybe that was Enobaria.
No,
But I
that's
did
not
read this 2
Enobaria.
months ago, so probably not the right
All I
person.
remember was that she added Annie after the fact. Where Finnick was like, "Thank you for sparing Annie. I've been so worried about her." And Katniss was like, "And I oops." Can I get Annie added to that real quick? Real quick.
Who else was in their group? Because it was during the Quarter Quell, it was Katniss, Peeta, Finnick, Joanna, BT. Was there anyone else?
The other ones died, didn't they?
Yeah. Mags' death pisses me off, but that's not for this conversation. We're just gonna gloss past that.
Oh yeah. What can I say? I don't know. I still, like I said, I still have my gripes about Catching Fire, but after rereading Mockingjay, I look back at Catching Fire fondly. It was a good time compared to this.
This definitely feels like a downhill trend. I know a lot of trilogies like dip in the middle and then the third one is good again. I think this one, like, my favorite is Hunger Games, then Catching Fire, then Mockingjay.
Well, I really think, honestly, if Hunger Games was just standalone, it would have been fine.
It would have needed a little more at the end to like completely wrap it up, but I agree.
Really,
found it-
I love how it ended of just being like the moment of Peeta and Katniss at the train station where Katniss sort of realizes, oh shit, this was real for him. And him kind of realizing, oh shit, this was just a game for her. I loved that ending. I thought that was a great ending to the Hunger Games. It was perfect, a little bit ambiguous, a little bit intriguing, bittersweet. I loved it. Yes, Anne?
Enobaria is part of the deal. It's Peeta, Joanna, Enobaria, and Annie.
That's it. She just felt so. I feel like they never said her name ever again in the book until she showed up at the end.
Yeah.
Like I literally did. She's the one with the sharp teeth, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I feel like they show too much of the characters that we don't care about and are gonna die, and they need to show more of the people who are actually gonna be there at the end, like Annie and Enobaria.
Yeah.
Poor Annie.
Well, that's why I didn't care about any of the new characters who got introduced, like the film crew and District 13 people. Like, I really didn't care about any of that because there was already so many legit characters who got pushed to the wayside, like Effie and Haymitch and Prim, like who needed more page time. But I just couldn't care about any of these new people being introduced in book 3. Halfway through, like they weren't even like introduced like that early. Some of these characters were introduced pretty late.
What about the prep team? What do you feel about them being there?
Ooh, I did like the prep team.
I completely forgot that though. Like that they were there and how they were there. Like that she just has to like fight them in the basement, like all banged up.
I
very
liked the
glossed
inclusion.
over.
I liked it. I thought that was one thing I liked about the District 13 plot was that I was kind
I
of
feel
there
like
for it.
they should have returned back to like why they were treated the way they were. Like Katniss never follows up on like any of that.
It kind of seems like Katniss I don't know. I don't feel like Katniss would. I feel like Katniss didn't really dwell on a lot. Like, she was very singular focused on President Snow and on Peeta. Like,
I love how she hates herself though when she finds herself defending her prep team to Gale. She's like, what? Why am I this person? Why do I care about them? Like, ugh, you know? I felt that.
Yeah, she did. She had mixed feelings about caring about her prep team and sticking up for them. Because they're like, oh, they made me like pretty like a lamb to slaughter, and here I am like they didn't care about me, like only Cinna did. I don't know. I liked the inclusion of the prep team. I thought it was like a nice little juxtaposition of the situation going on in District 13 to throw in some capital snobs. I liked that.
Mm-hmm.
I also love the parallels of them using the same prep team that the Capital did, you know, 13 not being different or better or anything. Like, just make her look pretty, like, make her look good for the cameras. Like, are you the Capital or are you the Capital? Come on.
Yeah, but again, it was like also again kind of back to the communism thing. Like, what were you before? Ah, you were a stylist. Now your job is stylist.
No one's allowed to learn anything new. You just do what you know.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It just felt like. I don't know. I didn't care. I didn't care about the rebellion in Panem. I'm going to be honest. I really didn't give a shit. Oh, I cared much more about the character arcs, and they were not satisfying to me. Like the Haymitch character arc, like, and even Katniss, I felt like she regressed a little bit in this book.
Maybe her character arc would have been better if Peeta died. Maybe she could have been, like, really great.
Yeah, but then Peeta'd be dead and Violet would be sad.
Well, I mean, they killed Finnick. They could have killed Peeta and Finnick, so... But even when Finnick died, Katniss was like, I can't think about this right now. I can't think about this right now. Like,
and then she never thinks about it.
She never thinks about it again. But she was like... She just gets like, where she's like, all the blood on my hand, it's like, of all these things that happened because of me. And then like, Finnick just gets lumped in with the body toll. He never gets a moment of mourning.
Wow. I wish we could have seen Annie. Like, maybe not when she first finds out that he's dead, because that would be really hard. But like, something residual. Like, first of all, she's got this like mental issue. She's also pregnant at that point, so like her hormones are probably all over the place from that. Like, I wish we had seen Annie freak out. She deserves to have a little bit of a mental breakdown.
I'm not saying anything, Michael.
Let her live, Michael.
Speaking of
You're very
pregnancy,
welcome to stay here.
Why did they just drop the whole miscarriage thing? Like, you could have made a big thing out of that for like the promotional stuff. I think, you know, Katniss sitting there crying like, I lost the baby because of the stress, and they just like
she would have not done that very well.
They could have figured out something how to like liken the baby to like the children who went into the Hunger Games because they were actual children. Like, there could have been something there.
Yeah, but they just completely dropped that. Like, oh, she doesn't have a baby. Let's just say she had a miscarriage. Let's move on.
They did kind of just sweep that conveniently. Again, it kind of went into the big conveniently sweeping things away. Like, it really bothered me, the opening with like, oh, District 12 was destroyed. Except for Gale had like spider sense tingling that it was going to get bombed and just swooped up all the important people. He just knew that this was the field that they had to go to. Okay.
Maybe they just had an orgy, 900-man orgy, up at the lake anyway. And then the district just got blown up and Gale was like, no, I saved these people. I swear that's what we were doing.
I feel like they were trying to like have Gale like save a cat in a way, like Gale's a good guy, look what he did. But it's like, I don't believe you, because that's not a believable situation, and we already have established that Gale's a dick. Like,
speaking of cats, Buttercup. So unbelievable that he just keeps showing up everywhere. Like, how far is District 13 from?
Is he a cat or is he a cockroach? Like, come on.
He is a cockroach, isn't he?
I thought she'd like taken him on the plane. Or do you mean like back to District 12?
No, that at the end when she goes back to District 12 after everything's over, and he's just there. Like, what?
Yeah,
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, that's true.
Katniss
That is how
screams
it
at
happened. He just conveniently shows up, like, to remind her that Prim is, you know.
I mean, does Katniss actually know what Prim Buttercup like really looks like? Could it just be a different cat that she's screamed that she's mad at cats?
All cats look the same.
She's like, my name is Katniss. I hate cats.
Yeah.
She does. She had a thing there. Buttercup, that damn cat.
Yeah.
And District 13 being like, this useless creature, another mouth to feed.
It's like, chill, it's just a cat. He's like, he has to go out and hunt to feed himself, but if he's not back by a certain time, we're locking him out. Like, it's a cat!
She had to, like, put it into, like, her terms, like, I will be your Mockingjay, you have to save all these people, you have to do all these things, and the cat. These, like, really serious things. And the cat.
So ridiculous.
I don't know. I liked Buttercup being included, but that thing at the end where he comes back like a cockroach, that was a little bit much. Like, again, it was a little bit too convenient.
Really, I think 90% of my issues are with the epilogue. Because, like, the whole ending sucked. But
Yeah.
it could have been redeemed by a good epilogue. And the epilogue just dug the hole further.
I feel like they should have just ended once she like shot that arrow and Coin died. Like that scene
would've been a good
ended.
ending.
I agree. That would have been a strong ending, and then cut to a different epilogue. That I'm not gonna
Katniss is in
write.
prison.
Katniss
Peeta
and
is
Gale?
happy.
Oh, we should make it a challenge. We all write a new epilogue, and then we compare them and see which one's the best.
God damn it!
I mean, that sounds fun, but that would probably require for me to read the book again, and I'm not sure I want to put myself through that.
Fair enough.
Really, I would like to see Marta's version of not having
Smart.
rereading the book again and just writing an epilogue. I'm actually here for that. In Spanish, she writes it in Spanish so that none of us can read it.
And we're all just like,
Yeah, I can ask for more cheese and where the toilet is in Spanish, and that's about it.
more than I got.
It's fine, I can write it in English and just get all the names spelled wrong, maybe.
Wait, do they spell other names differently in Spanish?
I don't know.
Yeah,
They
but the
do
problem
tend to
the
do
problem
that,
is like
but-
the dystopian words. You know how like they say like the careers and like the propos. Like they don't say normal things. Like they have like weird dystopian terms for some things that make it weird in
But
translation.
I feel like they try to make it as similar as possible. So I read the first round, I read it in German, and now I read it in English. And I feel like if you know what they mean, besides it being obvious in the plot, I feel like the careers were also called the German word for career in the German version. So I feel like they're trying a lot of times to make it as
Yeah.
similar as they can.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just had an issue, I guess, because like I wasn't like that strong because I also read the series originally interpreted. I wasn't that strong in the language, so I sometimes got confused. Like what? Not the mutations, but what do they call the? No, mutation. That's what they say,
That's
isn't
what
it?
I hate. That.
Mutation.
Yeah, but what do they call the is it Inobaria or the ones who are like all strung out? What did they call those guys? Or like even
Oh, the
Fox face.
Morphlings.
Morphlings, that's the one. Morphlings.
Not Enobaria at all.
It bothered me
Monster
that
District 5?
yeah, it bothered me so
Six.
much that they would give like nicknames like the Morphlings or like even book one Fox face. It's like what are their real names? Because we know like they're going in interviews and stuff and that they said their name at some point. Can you just like one time say their name and then call them like their weird name?
I
like
feel like that's very realistic though. If you meet like 20 or 22 other people, like you're not going to remember all the names. You're going to remember them by specific things about them. So I relate to that a lot.
yeah, even if she didn't remember them, we could still be like present in the scene where they were like showing all the names on the board or something. Again, that's where I wish they could have jumped into a third person narration sometime of like newscasters or like what it looked like on TV. I think that would have been a cool thing instead of always having Katniss as the freaking POV character, even though I liked it in book one.
I forget what it was, but there's a book that I read earlier this year, maybe last year, but it was in first person, but then at the beginning of each chapter there was like 1 or 2 paragraphs of like narration, just like of the overall world, like zeroing in on different characters that like are also still an important part of the story, but it's just like letting you know where they're at in this. And like it was weird, but I feel like that would have been interesting with this case because it is such a like global thing. Like, the issue isn't just Katniss, so I would have liked to see not just Katniss.
Katniss is kind of a cold character in a lot of ways, and a reserved character. Like I said, she didn't even give us her inner thoughts about her Hunger Games vote decision.
Yeah,
Or
what
that she
gets
was going
more?
to... Yeah. But I liked... well, I know, Anne, that you just got Scythe in your book exchange.
Did.
Promoting Anne's whatever new book haul video that she just had at her book exchange.
Thank you.
But
Thank you very much.
the second book in that Thunderhead has like the Thunderhead, like the collective cloud conscience of society as like a character. It's
Okay.
so cool. It's really cool. Like then every couple chapters, like you get a Thunderhead chapter of his point of view, and he's like the collection conscience of society, and it's really good for the world building just to get that random perspective every once in a while. I really enjoyed that in that book. So
How fun.
I think there's interesting things you can do with point of view, and I mean, you see it in other books like Twilight, which is going to be the February book pick. They did add like Jacob in book 4, I think, in Twilight, the last
The
book.
whole middle chunk of the book is Jacob.
Yeah, they added Jacob as a point of view character, so I don't think it's unheard of, especially in sequels of books in the series, to later add more points of view in.
I do that in my series. I start
Yeah.
with 1 and then have 2.
Yeah. I think they could have added another point of view character by the time we got to Mockingjay. Maybe it would have been more satisfying. Even
Who
in
would you pick?
Peeta.
Say we get...
I want Haymitch.
Same! I want Haymitch too.
I love Haymitch, but I mean, I thought about this after our first discussion. You actually can't have an adult character as a point of view in a YA book. It doesn't work.
I mean, you can do whatever how you want once you reach that level, I think.
That's true. It's true. When you're Suzanne Collins in the last book of your best-selling trilogy, which still to this day holds so many records on Kindle. What did it say when I was researching about the records of the Hunger Game? Like it was tied with or had beat. I can't. You've got me sidetracked now, Wallace. Oh, that it had beat or had surpassed Harry Potter in several awards, and it's still to this day, Hunger Games Book 1 has like of the 50 most highlighted pages of Amazon's Kindle that the Hunger Games had like a bunch of them, not like 1 or 2 pages. It had like several pages of the most highlighted passages in Kindle. Like,
It's a fantastic book.
yeah, it's
And the
success
author is
that-
so unproblematic. You know?
Yeah, she wrote that and then didn't show up again until she
Yeah.
dropped the prequel.
And that's what I said when I did my review of the prequel. Like, was this necessary? No. Am I mad at it? Also not. She stayed in her lane. She didn't do anything problematic. Suzanne Collins, get your coin and good for you. I'm not mad at you. So, could have done some more for Haymitch, and that's but I forgive you. So.
No, wait. Did everyone answer? I think Martha didn't tell us who. POV character. Which one would you like?
Oh, Finnick.
Oh,
Ooh.
I love Finnick too. It would have, yeah, it would have been cool.
Like, I would have
Sorry?
liked to see like Finnick's original games and then like how he met Annie afterwards and that sort of thing. Like,
Also, his
Just the
slut face.
prequel
His
about
forced
Finnick.
slut face.
Yeah, wouldn't have that been cool to get that information from his point of view instead of how we got it?
I just need a Finnick book. That's what I want. I don't care about President Snow.
Suzanne Collins, if you listen to us, Finnick, Haymitch, and Peeta, please.
Oh my god, a Haymitch prequel. Oh my god.
I did read a fan fiction of what someone thought Haymitch's games would have been like. That was when it was right after the second movie came out, and I was still really strong in my fan fiction obsession.
Same.
And,
Hunger Games was the best thing to write fanfiction about.
It was like 80 chapters long. Like, this was a detailed fic. I wonder if it's still out there somewhere. I might have to try and find that.
It was just like a little twinkle in Danny's eye.
You know, I wrote Hunger Games fanfiction as well, and they had like 8 different POVs by the end, like all around the same 3 years, with my own origin characters. But then I was like, wouldn't it be fun to show Snow's perspective? And then I wrote from Snow's perspective, and then Suzanne Collins came out with this book, and I was like, I did that first, you. And I was meant for like half a second, and then I read, and it was awesome. So better than mine.
I'm not gonna lie. I also have Haymitch as one of my character inspirations for one of the characters in my book.
Oh, I love that. You can't tell us which one, and then we read and then we point out different characters, and you were like, nope, this is not him.
It's a good character.
Is that for the monster one? Because I'm really excited to read that now.
We'll never
If
say
it
it.
is.
Do we have anything else to say about Mockingjay?
I mean, can we talk about which president is worse? Coin or Snow?
They both just suck and want power. Like
I
don't care.
honestly,
they
Coin,
just want to
maybe.
do whatever they want. Like they'll do whatever the people who will give them power want. So like President Snow, I don't think he cares about the games. It's just that's the way he maintains his power. So that's why he's such a big proponent of it. Like, I don't know. They're selfish.
I think I like Snow better than Coin, to be honest. Like even like the little like talks that he has with Katniss at the end, where they're talking like in the Rose Garden, like you do get an interesting moment with Snow there. Whereas like Coin is just what? Oh, are you laughing at Katie?
Yeah.
They're two sides of the same coin.
Snow does feel a little more dynamic.
He also feels like he's trying to like put on a mask less. Like Coin is really trying to be like a proper like I'm a good person. I'm doing this for everyone else. And Snow does have that vibe sometimes, but he's also just like not that. Like it's not that important to him to be the good guy. I think that's not how he looks to the outside world. Like the good guy who's saving us all. Whereas Coin really likes to think of herself that way. I think.
Coin seems very almost robotic to me, where Snow seems like a human. Like he seems like he has his flaws. He
like ulcers in his mouth that make him bleed.
Is Coin from District 13?
I don't know.
I don't think they really gave a lot of information about her.
And like we don't know how old she is because I don't think they.
No,
ever
I think
mentioned it,
I think they said like early 50s. I
So,
did
like,
believe
she
that in her character
wasn't-
description.
like around when the whole first revolution happened, because she would have
No.
been like 80 or something.
No.
So I don't know. I feel like that would have been interesting if you had someone who had been around that long, because there has to be a couple of them still living. Like people
I mean,
lived
Snow
to 80.
was supposedly.
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
President Snow's dad died in the first rebellion or the army, right? He was in the army and he died. I'm
But
pretty
Snow
sure.
was like really small, right?
Yeah, he was
He
like a
was
little
like-
kid.
2 or 3, I think. Like he was a baby.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think during just based off the prequel, during the 10th games, I think it's based, he's like 18 or just going into uni, so
Yeah.
Oh, is
he must have been 8 when the
Okay.
war ended.
I thought he was younger than that.
That's the one thing I was looking for while rereading the trilogy, if they ever mentioned Hunger Games 10, because I was like, that was what the prequel's about, but I don't think they ever mentioned it when they were talking about the different games they rewatched or anything.
Because it doesn't really matter to them, does it? They don't know when Snow first started as a like person who's involved, right? And none of their
Yeah,
like,
I thought it might
competitors
have.
were in
I
there.
thought it might have been subtly referenced somewhere because, well, I don't want to spoil what happens in the book, so I'm not going to say anything because some stuff goes down in Hunger Games 10 that very much mirrors this trilogy, which I didn't like because it felt like fan service. So, and I was wondering if it was justified in the original trilogy, if it had been set up beforehand, or if she thought about it afterwards. And
No, I mean, I don't feel like she set anything for the like prequel up in the Hunger Games necessarily. Like she left herself places where she could probably add stuff, like leaving stuff about certain characters and certain times out where she could be like, okay, I am
Yeah.
writing a Finnick book, I'm writing a Haymitch book or whatever, but I don't think she set anything up like, oh, this big thing we discussed that we never get an answer to, you know?
that's why I said I feel like the prequel was very irrelevant and fan servicey.
I still liked it though.
Me
I haven't
too.
read it.
It's a good book, I think.
I was gonna say I wouldn't recommend, but actually, if you've read the whole trilogy, just go.
Might as well.
Might as well. You might as well. There's some interesting tidbits in there. So
And you don't like have that many feelings for Snow that you don't want to have. So when I first started reading it, I was like, I don't want to like him, and you don't really like him at any point. Like, you never feel so sorry for him that you're like, okay, you're a decent guy. Like, that doesn't necessarily happen. At least
Is
it
it
didn't.
from his POV?
It's written in third person, so you don't have to be. You're following him in third person limited, but it's not first person. So you're not in his head, but you're following his head.
Did you just want to argue that you did feel bad for him?
Marta?
Yeah, like during the first, like the start of the book at least, I did feel like he was like ambitious but like not a bad person as such. Like, I do feel like, without getting into too much detail, because I don't want to spoil this book, which we're not supposedly talking about, but like,
Do you
I
see
do
it in my
feel like
spoiler
it's
banner? No.
exactly like the book shows him becoming what he is. So like, I didn't feel like at the start of the book he was a person that I didn't like or like strongly hated, like from knowing the trilogy. Like, if I'd read the prequel without reading the trilogy, I feel like I would have liked him as a character.
Fair point.
That's a good point, yeah. That is a good point.
It's just when you compare his situation to Katniss' situation, hers is so much worse when they first get started, even so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of thinking about wrapping it up. I don't have anything else to say about Mockingjay.
No, I've done my rant. I'm good.
Trying to think, we kind of covered all the characters, some character arcs, some themes. Well,
Did we do a minute of silence for all of the characters we've lost, like Finnick and Cinna?
Ludwig's way. Train whistle.
That will back.
I got rid of my one that doesn't have a train whistle. I should have put it back. I finally got my Worldwide Write-a-thon intro up. I didn't have it for the Write-a-thon.
Wow.
I messed the outro
I
for
made
the
a
one where I
freaking
got up.
intro, and then I forgot to upload it onto StreamYard.
I forgot to end the broadcast while my end screen was running, and then we popped back up, and I was like, "Oh no!" And then I ended the broadcast.
Speaking of the Write-a-thon, should we do outros and promos of channels and stuff we have going
Of
on?
all the channels that are not in the description, you mean?
They're not in the description. They'll be in the description on the replay, maybe.
Alright.
I'll make no promises. Yeah. Does anybody have any closing thoughts on the Hunger Games trilogy as a whole, or anything on Mockingjay before we close up?
Hashtag justice for Haymitch. That's it.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I
He
think that's
deserved everything.
it's a fair point. Haymitch. Well, we'll all drink one for you tonight, buddy.
That's a bad idea.
So bad.
Now I'm gonna go to Haymitch round. We're just gonna stop. I think we have to call it. The moral of the story is Peeta is a gift to the universe.
We hate Gale.
We hate Gale. And communism is bad. R.I.P. the almost love triangle. Yeah. This has been the Hunger Games. We will be taking November off for NaNoWriMo for any writers who are going to be writing. The Nostalgia Train will be back in December reading The Northern Lights / The Golden Compass, depending on where you're from. It has both titles. Book 1 of the His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. That's coming up for December.
That's a
I
mouthful.
think, yeah, it's a lot because it has 2 different titles, so that's why. But I don't know. If I say The Golden Compass, I think everybody knows what I mean. Or His Dark Materials. I don't know.
I know the Golden Compass. That's
Did the other books have 2 titles too, or is it just that one?
I think it's just that one. I don't know. It's kind of like, like the Philosopher's Stone versus Sorcerer's Stone situation. I think they just changed it for some countries and messed it up for everybody. I do have the Discord linked in the description of this video. It should be a working link.
unlike
this
our
time.
channels.
unlike you guys' channels.
Blood here.
I'm not going to eat her. I'm being very nice. I have my World Write-a-thon vlog up, so check that out on my channel. I promise I'll link you guys' channels. I don't think anybody's gonna watch the replay. Marta's gonna link you guys.
How do you know that?
Because I know you.
Marta's the link master.
She is. Danny, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Danny. My channel is Somber Honey. I post videos every Friday and vlogs every other Tuesday-ish, supposedly. Tomorrow's video is my picking my books that I'm gonna read for my official Ski BR in November, and then next Tuesday's video is a super special announcement, so make sure you check it out because I'm so excited for it. But yes, that's it. Stay tuned. Got a couple of exciting videos coming out soon. Oh,
Yay.
and I'm streaming. God, a weekend in November. I'm going to be streaming all weekend because I'm going to be left home alone and I can do whatever I want.
Yay!
We're here for all the streams and
All of
videos and announcements. Marta has kindly provided all you guys' channel links into the comments of the chat. Marta, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I also make YouTube videos. I make writing and art related stuff every second Wednesday. And yeah, I'm writing something that you will be able to read in 5 years maybe. That's me.
Love that you give your timeline. I also upload videos 2 to 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, sometimes Fridays, though sometimes not Wednesdays, so, you know, those days, maybe. Who knows? I also stream on Fridays at 6 a.m. Eastern and on Sundays at 12 p.m. Eastern time, if you want to come out with me. Yeah, that's me. Yay.
And Anne also runs the seasonal writing challenge. When is the next seasonal writing challenge?
In December. So, very inconvenient for most writers because we're all burned out from Nano, but it's fine. It'll be fine. I actually have a new concept that makes it, I think, more fun and more adaptable for us, so.
Anna's
You can watch the replay if you want.
Oh, wait. We can do our 2-second summary. Peeta is good. Justice for Haymitch. Communism is bad. That was the gist of the video.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was it. Happy Nano. Thank you to my co-host. Thank you to everybody who showed up. It has been a joy as always. We will not be doing any sequels for the foreseeable future for the book club because we're just not going to do that unless we want to do buddy reads on the Discord. So, yeah, that was it for this one. And yeah, Anna got the summary, so it saved you an hour and a half of watching us in real time. So we'll catch you next time. Bye.